Dokken is one of the most iconic heavy metal bands. They were really big in the 80s and managed to create some of the best metal albums and songs of that decade. Don Dokken's singing was special and unique in a way that deserves way more praise, especially since it influenced the power metal genre, but also served as an interesting alternative to a lot of the glam metal bands at the time, who either had very high-pitched voices or were going for a rougher sound. Dokken has always been one of my favorite metal bands from the 80s and in general. I have always preferred music where the singer is able to sing clean and melodic, which is why bands such as Iron Maiden, Judas Priest or Queensryche are among those that I have listened to the most. These bands, at least in their prime, had a unique sound because their vocals were almost opera-level singing. They could hold notes for ages and it sounded incredible. Dokken has always been within this category. Don's voice is amazing and he basically made his career singing in this clean style that is giving my ears pure orgasms. It's especially amazing because this type of singing is not easy and one of the hardest to pull off within metal, as you have to keep with the rhythm and speed of the guitars, which are usually very fast. In the case of Dokken, it's fast and hard, because despite looking like just another glam or Sunset Strip band, these guys were not glam at all, at least in their sound. They were a classic heavy metal and hard rock band that had some albums and tracks that go pretty hard and are pure headbangers. This is honestly one of the biggest misconceptions I see people make about Dokken, either by simply misunderstanding the band and the various 80s metal genres, or out of pure ignorance and stupidity. Dokken has never been a glam metal band. Sure, they had the looks, and the Under Lock and Key album cover doesn't exactly do them any favors, but back in the 80s, almost all metal bands look like that. Even Iron Maiden and Judas Priest went through this phase. Not to mention that back then, long hair and wild and colorful clothes were extremely common, at least within pop culture, and metal was by far not the only genre that had this look going on. New wave and pop were even wilder than heavy or glam metal in this regard. That's not to say that Dokken does not have any songs that could fit within the glam genre. Some of their biggest commercially successful songs could be seen as glam.
You get to see Dokken being hauled on a flatbed truck through the streets of Los Angeles in the video for It's Not Love.
It's Not Love is kind of like a slap in the face love song, like making fun of it, like, well, so you tried to get me, you hurt me, but no biggie, you know, there's more where that came from.
She said you just got lucky. I believe your dead eyes.
But if you take a moment to actually listen to their albums, especially those released in the 80s, starting with Breaking the Chains all the way to Back for the Attack, you'll notice that the music you're hearing is pure heavy metal. With the biggest difference being that, unlike a lot of bands at the time, Don Dokken actually knew how to sing and could also pull off a clean sound live. I think most people in general just don't know how varied and complex glam metal can be, and most also don't really know the difference between heavy metal and what they call hair metal when it comes to the 80s. That's exactly why Dokken has this reputation of being a hair metal band, even though they never were, nor did they ever claim to be one.
Monsters of Rock, the biggest concert event of this year, or any year. Saturday, June 11th, gates open at 11, show at 1 p.m. at JFK Stadium. Starring Van Halen, special guest The Scorpions. Also starring Dokken, Metallica, and Kingdom Come. Tickets now at Ticketron, all authorized Electric Factory agencies, or charged by phone. Produced by Electric Factory Concerts. Van Halen's Monsters of Rock.
To me, it also seems like they have always been one of the most underrated bands. I mean, sure, they did have a lot of commercial success and they were pretty big, but it still seems like they never reached their full potential. I mean, George Lynch was a beast on the guitar and a masterful shredder, not to mention that he had great stage presence and charisma, just like the rest of the band. He's one of those guitar players that feels really underrated in my opinion. Obviously, I know that calling a band like Dokken underrated might seem like a bit of a stretch, considering that they were pretty successful and well off in the 80s, but they really are if you compare them to a lot of other bands at the time. There are bands that still get to play massive arenas and basically build a massive empire despite not being as good as Dokken in my opinion.
You needed love, so now I'm back. You've had enough, can't take no more. You're in trouble, 'cause I'm back. Breaking the chains around you. Nobody else can find you. 'Cause I'm back.
To me, it really seems like there's really only two reasons as to why Dokken never reached the heights and potential they had. Mainly the feud between Don Dokken and George Lynch, as well as their middle-of-the-road presentation and appeal. I mean, if you look at bands such as Wasp, Motley Crue, or Rat, what do they have in common? All of them have a certain look and presentation that makes it easy to instantly place them into a category and market them. Motley Crue and Wasp, for example, were considered extremely edgy at the time due to their offensive behavior, looks, and lyrics. They constantly made explicit music, and their music videos were often either full of suggestive nudity, blood, and satanic images. Red, on the other hand, fully embraced their glam and playboy appeal, even though their music tended to be much heavier than a lot of the other glam metal bands.
They say you're a womanizer.
Ooh, probably, yeah. It's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. What can I say?
But what about Dokken? They had no offensive content, they weren't rebellious or edgy. They mostly made music about love, breakups, and getting laid, which, to be fair, was also something that pissed off the PMRC, but back then it really wasn't that hard to pick a fight with Tipper Gore as she was on her brain-dead crusade against music. That's of course not to say that Dokken was not wild or did not engage in all of the vices and fun that the other bands had. I mean, their drummer was literally called Wild Mick, and half these guys were almost always coked out of their minds and banging groupies. They were snoring lines of cocaine with Freddy Krueger himself during the filming of the music video to The Dream Warriors.
There's no waking up from this nightmare. A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 3, Dream Warriors.
To me, Dokken remains one of the greatest 80s heavy metal bands. I love Don's singing style, and this band is one of the reasons why I got into power metal. There's just something amazing about bands that sing in this style and are able to unleash the full power of their voices.
Sit there thinking in your room. You feel the pressure, you're going crazy too. She said you just got lucky. I believe your deadly lies. Who were those guys?